to the final of Fear Cuts Deeper Than Swords 4. This is our spy try once every other fortnightly 3 weeks tournament that we run on the Iron Throne. And these are the winners of the two pods. So we have George, Gorgeous George, representing the UK, who's playing Greyjoy Reigns, and we have Johan, who I'm going to be honest, I don't know where he's from. I know it's somewhere in Europe, who's playing Martell Fealty. They both very kindly agreed to play with open hands, so we can see who we can see everything that's going on. And there, so it looks like a pretty good start from George. I had a little word with George about his deck during the tournament, and he's got 3 copies of Seal of the Hand in the deck. Because he says it makes people like Victarion and New Asher and Euron Crow's Eye that little bit better. Now Nymeria is a pretty good counter here though. I'm going to see a Gaston Grey, so we're going to see how George plays around this. But obviously we do have the Lord Sport ship right. So this could be quite an interesting start to the game. I'm on to the first plots. I assume we probably can't see the plots. I'll probably even try. So yeah, so I wasn't originally going to plan to do this as a separate video when I first started out, but it will be. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, if you're watching this on Twitch, this is one continuous video. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously it's going to be 4 separate videos. Slightly confusing. Counting coppers into counting coppers. So yeah, all the card draw. And George has 2 brilliant counters here to Gaston Grey. Now this is a card I'm starting to love in Greyjoy, reading the Icy Bay, mostly because it counteracts the red door, because you're not discarding the card, you are putting it back on top of the deck. If they then put that location back into play, it now can be discarded, which is fantastic. But also Greyjoy is really getting pillage heavy this cycle, and when you got Euron, you got New Asher, they just pillage off the top of your deck and they're happy, as you like. And the good thing is that this looks pretty innocuous. Oh, there's no gold. Ah, no, it can't be. There's no, don't have to worry about. We do not sow. Of course, this is 0 gold. On the other hand, we do have a hand's judgment, but obviously there's 2 of these, and they're not limit once per challenge. They're not. I'm gonna say I think George has got the better start here. I'd actually be worried about getting valid quite early, although there is a Risen in hand, so you might not even mind that. I think if you take it at the moment, George is definitely seems to be in the ascendancy, in my opinion. Okay. So we have Fealty Note. I imagine it's probably for the Water Garden, which is a fantastic new card. Do love that card. Or it could be for Gaston Grey. Now the only issue here is George put no pillage on the board, so he does. So if it is for the Gaston Grey, there will be no counter to it. I don't think it will be for the Gaston Grey, just for the simple fact that the Lord Sport shipwright's there anyway, and he's probably just going to kneel it out. I'm trying to think what loyal card is he going to put into play. I mean, you could guess you could put a copy of Hotar in, put 2 copies of Hotar down, and for March him next turn. No, we're going to the Water Garden. I think he's just going to sit on 1 gold. And you could take away the military icon. It's not going to do that much good. George is, and especially this one, George got no need to kneel that just yet. And we're on to challenges. Sorry guys, did miss that. So immediately Nymeria takes Euron's power icon. Sorry, military icon. So George is at a disadvantage there, but this does leave the intrigue open. And oh, George is going to trigger Reigns here. What's he going to go for on the range trigger, I wonder? So there we go. There's the buff from the scout ship. He's going to go Varys Riddle. He's just going to draw more cards. Now he's going to have to discard quite a few cards here. Icy Bay. Gets Hand's Judgment. Do you want to try a second one? And oh, of course, there's only one ship standing. That's why I couldn't do a second one because he had to use the first ship to win the challenge. But that's a Hand's Judgment gone. So George now kind of got card advantage, kind of hasn't because he has got to discard down to 7 in a second. You might as well do the power challenge here, I guess. Kneel out something. Stops the power challenge coming back. Gets Victoria and power on the board. Because otherwise... Oh no, George passed challenges works it. Okay, I'd have thought you'd done a power challenge there. Personally. But then I'm not in the final. But I thought, yeah, I might do a power challenge. Worst case scenario, just kneel out the power icon. Let's see unopposed. And the Island Fishmonger is taking his claim. There's another one in hand. What cards he's going to get? All those cards in his hand are good. So I have no idea what he's going to do. Unless, yeah, I have no idea what he's going to try and do. Or he's going to discard. I guess the Sea Tower is the easy one, and then after that, I do not have a clue. Now, I did talk to George earlier because I have also been working on a Greyjoy deck. I've basically I've got a Greyjoy green site deck in mind, and I've basically just taken that and made it Reigns for now. And I'm running 3 copies of Blackwind, but I'm also running 3 copies of the Corpse Lake. I'm going really heavy down the pillage route. So what did he get rid of? He got rid of an Asher. Bloody hell. I don't think I'd have had the guts to do that. Whoa. But this is like, as I was saying in one of the games earlier, the power of Tris Butley. He is just bonkersly good. Oh, heads on spikes. Oh, hit Tris. Oof. Ouch. Okay. George is going first. Play Time of Plenty into the heads on spikes, so which hit Tris. We now have 3 copies of Euron Greyjoy. So I think there's a good chance he'll be hitting the board this turn, and he'll be doing some damage. Put the Great Hall out, but then put him out. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Immediately kneels Flea Bottom, not even waiting to see what other options is going to be. Dupes Blackwind for free. I guess he just doesn't want a bar of sand coming in. Is he going to put the other one on? So there's always an interesting question. How many dupes you put on? Because that currently is kind of like a save for your hand. It could potentially take up an intrigue claim, especially with some other good cards now. And indeed, he is going to just put the 1 save on. Now, if you do think there might be the risk of a double Valor, I think it can be worthwhile. I was about to say, how is Johan on 3 power? I just realised because he heads on spikes. So I didn't miss that many challenges, did I? Okay, so we've had Gaston Grey put out, but as we're doing, there's another Raiding the Icy... Is it Raiding the Icy Bay? I always get the name mixed up. Raiding the Bay of Ice, not the Icy Bay. He's got another Raiding the Bay of Ice in hand. So that's going to immediately go to the top of the deck. He desperately needs to get another character out here. Obviously, we do have the reduction on Hotar, so that could hurt. But I don't think he can stop a challenge. I think that's the issue. He can potentially stop a range trigger, but I don't think he can stop a challenge. And I think if I'm George, I whack that Gaston Grey to the top of the deck, pillage it, and you immediately get the back of Euron. So he is gonna. So there is going to be a. So Johan is going to try and stop the military again. Which again with the Bastard Daughter, I can't tell that's a good or bad play. Oh, Dornish Spy. So he's not going to. He's not going to stop the challenge completely. So there goes the intrigue icon. Now that doesn't obviously immediately stop the threat here, but that does create some issues for George. But George is a pretty good player, so I think he probably will come around, get around this. Oh, I've just been told that, of course, this doesn't stop a reduced character ambush. So thank you to the chat. Next non-character. That'd be why. New cards. And thank you, Matt Such, for pointing that out. You are going to be missed. So we get an intrigue challenge coming in from George. Now this is quite a good one because now he can use that Bay of Ice, get that Gaston Grey on top of the deck, and doesn't have to risk one of his good characters in case this doesn't work. And obviously this has worked, so I wouldn't be surprised here to see George go in for probably a power challenge of Euron. Steal that Gaston Grey and say, go on then, do you want to charge at me with Nymeria? Dare you? Because so George comes in the military, obviously risky because she's going to die, but then guess if you get the Gaston Grey, do you really want to go down to 2 characters? And yep. And we lose Silence's Crew as a hard card to see disappear. It's a very good card, but we get Gaston Grey, and because Gaston Grey was pillaged... Oh, it's the second copy of Gaston Grey as well. Oh, he pillaged... Flippin' heck. Because Gaston Grey was pillaged, obviously he gets to draw a card, which is an Iron Mind, which again is nice to see here. And here comes the power challenge. I assume he's going to nil Nymeria? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Stop that. Stop the military coming back. Reduce the challenges that come at you. Victarion is just so good. I think he's one of the best characters in Greyjoy, and the fact that he is non-loyal. So Banner Kraken. You know, you almost immediately Banner Kraken. So it's 3 Iron Minds, 3 of him, and I'll work out the other 6 cards. So we've got power challenge coming back. George in the chat just said, then now starts the long and laborious process of making sure I don't accidentally put your give you a Gaston Grey back. Especially as you could potentially do this. I think it's, I wouldn't say you never do it, but you got to be sure that your opponent's not going to be you know, can't just whack another one out immediately. Pillage is awesome. I'm loving the fact that Greyjoy Pillage is finally here. That's a theme that when I first played this game, I wanted to be work. That's another card that everyone said was bad and now is doing such work. So currently it's 6-4 to George after 2 rounds. Third plot phase. So you've got a Hotar in the bin. We've also got a Hotar in hand. So along with the Southern Messenger as well. So there's still a lot of ambush tech in there. I wouldn't rule out, especially Valida Harris. I wouldn't rule out Johan yet, but it's not looking good. Although that plot does change a few things. So the option is either you've got to keep Euron around. I think at this point, yeah. Although it would have been nice to keep. Although it would have been nice to keep the 2 bodies and Victarion. I think that was the right choice. Euron Crozai is going to do a lot of work. His pillage works with Blackwind. I think that probably was the correct choice. Hard choice, but correct choice. Now, it would have been tempting. Oh, gone Clash of Kings. Interesting. It would have been tempting with Euron in hand as well to play out another Euron, but I think that was the right choice. Now, it'd be interesting to see if Johan decides to play the Venomous Blade here to try and kill the Lordsport Shipwright. Try and get George down to as few characters as possible. We have a Triss Botley, but obviously he's dead. I don't know if George is playing close call, but that could be quite a good choice right now. George quickly kneeling the Water Garden, and I imagine the other one's going to come in and quickly kneel the Flea Bottom, so that there is less options on the there's no less ambushy options. The only one that definitely come out of hand is Southern Messenger. Oh no, they can't. No, they're ambush 5. Sorry, so no, they can't come out of hand. So yeah, that does seem like a pretty good play there by George. So what would you do, George? George is actually a little bit limited here for options. He's going to effectively have 6 gold. So I guess you put out. You put the Seal of the Hound on Euron. You put out the Iron Mind, and you put out the Lordsport Shipwright. You maybe even put the other dupe on Euron, leaving you a save and a dead card, potentially. And then I think if you're George, you may think about Valoring. And here comes the Venomous Blade. Pick on the Lordsport Shipwright. That's why I think George has to bring the other Lordsport Shipwright and the extra saves just to keep the board presence going. He desperately needs to draw some cards. So, yep, here we go. So that's going to be the other. So I think here comes this. Yep. So George is going to immediately come in and kneel the Flea Bottom, puts the save out, puts the Seal of the Hound and Euron, and looks like he's going to leave the dupe in hand. I think that's probably actually. Oh no, he's going to dupe him, and he's not going to save that Lordsport Shipwright. It's probably for the best. He might be thinking about Valoring in the next turn anyway. So that's what we're going to challenges. Probably just trying to work out what Nymeria is going to, or icon Nymeria is going to take. It's going for power. Now, it's probably a hard choice, but probably the correct choice. You probably want to top the intrigue. It's easy to get stuck in this mindset of must stop Reigns. But probably actually the better idea was to not. And we're getting a bounce. Getting the Venomous Blade and the We haven't played in the Desert Scavenger back to hand. Don't think he needed to do that yet, but I don't think that's... Potentially he's worried about... I would say potentially worried about Riddle into Valida Harris, but don't think he needs to be. So George's power now is going to be taken. So it's going to be unopposed and claim. March next turn. Yeah, I think he will march next turn. But if you're going to march next turn, so talking to the chat here, you could leave him on the board as your march target to bring him back. I don't know. I mean, George is not going to let himself get into a position where he's only going to have one character on the board. He's not that daft, and that's why I think the extra save came in. So the other issue here as well, although Nymera's taken the power icon off and to slow down Euron, because we already had a Monocon power icon here, she's now basically a dead card this turn because he didn't use in the power challenge. I guess he was really worried about Clash of Kings, obviously, which is fair. You're stopping that. So we've had what's it? So entry challenge, George wins. Pillage must have hit an attachment or location. Oh, did hit the Blood Orange Grove, which George's going to steal just because you can, I guess. And Euron gets a power. He's going to stand Euron, and here he comes in for the military. So that is going to be a pretty big card next turn because obviously he can stop Nymeria, which is never a bad thing. Oh, that was on defense. Sorry. So that was George winning the intrigue on defense. I do apologise. George is now going to do his intrigue challenge, and I wouldn't be surprised here if he flips into power behind the throne to be able to get into the military as well and rack up the power as quick as possible. Bastardor's taken off the top of the deck. Oh no, he didn't. Didn't trigger Reigns. Interesting. Okay. So Bastardor and Elia Sands. Elia Sands was claimed. Bastardor was Pillage. Quite surprised didn't trigger Reigns there. Flip into power behind the throne. Go and do the military. Get another power on there. Go up and unopposed. Up on 9. So it'd be 9/7. And you have another go at trying to get like a Western Fiefdoms or something. So we have Valor into Marched. Oh, that. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. George is fine. I thought George was in trouble, but you just burn the Iron Mines to save the Lordsport shipwright, and then you march the Lordsport shipwright. So okay, good. Well done. I think that's a good play. Right. Oh, well. Enough saves there just to make that work either way. So Yeroham's going first. We'll see which plot he triggers first here. I think you do trigger Valor first. He's triggering March. Okay. Oh, because he probably wants to save Nymeria. Yeah, because he wants to save Nymeria. So this gives George a lot of saves now. He's basically Valor proof coming back at him. He's wiped the board with Euron Crow's Eye with Seal of the Hand. Now he does have no claim here at the moment, but I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. Potentially, this is why he didn't power behind the throne this turn, because he was going to Valor this turn, and obviously power behind the throne will be far more effective this turn. So we have Secret Schemes played. George used his Blood Orange Grove. so you never know. Oh, bless. So we're seeing. Sorry, 7-0. Go back to the game. Come on, man. Wake up. So you got Desert Scavenger. What else he got in his hand? Not much else he can really play out. That's going to be the issue here. Now he can obviously ambush out the dagger. Not dagger. We do have a Vengeance for Elia. That could be big. But I don't think George is going to be doing a military necessarily. I think he's just going to be doing the intrigue to get claim. Then he's going to do a power challenge. And even if he was hit by Vengeance, he would have a save. Never know, George. For the Bants. So George has got 3 gold. The issue here being he can get, or he's going to have to put out the begging brother, but he can't bestow him. So yeah, we're going to have the soda put out. You just can't. George just can't risk getting marched, because although we've seen 1 march, there could potentially be a 2nd march in there. We don't know what the double up plot is. A lot of these Martell decks like to have 2. You know, no, there will be claim because he's going to flip in. He's going to flip out of. Sorry, looking at Marcus Bliss. He's going to flip out of Valor into Power Behind the Throne, I would imagine. So there will be claim, and there is 2 gold left. Right, yeah. I wouldn't. Yes, that's the minor. That's the way I play Greyjoy Reigns anyway. So I could be wrong. Also, there's going to be a lot of cards discarded. Now I know he probably doesn't mind. What can jump out here? I guess Hotar's the issue, isn't it? Hotar could be what stops the range trigger. But then I guess you still get 1 lot of. You still get 1 lot of Renowned and another Pillage, and it uses Hotar up. Now there's another Hotar in hand, obviously, but it still uses Hotar up. There's nothing else in there George particularly wants. And yeah, here comes the Hotar. So I guess now George stands Euron, does a military just for the Renowned and Pillage, and then does Power the Begging Brother just for the unopposed, which put him on 9 power, be 9-8 at that point. Oh, he's just finishes challenges. What? Okay. I don't know why he wouldn't have done the 2 free challenges then. I guess he's going. He wins dominance this way. But I think I know. I might be the gambler in me, is in the way I do play a bit riskier. But you could at least get at least do the unopposed intrigue power. Sorry, with Euron. I'd have thought 2 power for that. Ooh, so good time to counter retaliation with Besieged, because obviously all those characters that want to be doing defending, taking back challenges, to come back at you are too busy having to defend. So I think we're going to see both of the Silence's crew put out here. Quite apt that the silence is out and the silence's crew are on the board. This is another one. People got bad habits against Greyjoy. Just being able to stop the unopposed and not duping the locations. Which obviously does come back to bite you occasionally. So an 8-7. Could George see this through? Yeah, Johan's really running out of characters in hand. Obviously he has a lot in here, but obviously only one can come out of turn. He has got the venomous blade, but currently there is no targets. I guess we could see the bastard daughter here, but George has pretty much had his hands been pretty dire most of the game. He's pretty much playing what he sees. Unfortunately he's getting quite a bit of draw thanks to Blackwind. But still, we've got 4 used plots, so one of those will be for free. Have got Vengeance Relia. So we have a power challenge coming in. So that's obviously that immediate sort of power challenge coming. Well, not immediately, but quite likely. Doing the power challenge first, so it's quite sensible because you could see a Barristan come in to defend the military, and then when she's needing to defend the power challenge. And I believe that fulfills the requirement of 1 defender. Yeah, you would fulfill the requirement of having to have a defender. So, and the pillage here is going to build up. So you do power with power here. Actually, then do a military with the other one, and that's 2. If both those go through, that's 2 more pillage triggers, which will give more targets here for Euron. And another Hotar is discarded at the top of the deck, unfortunately. So there's now 2 Hotars in the bin. Not really where you want to see them. Now, an interesting thought here about whether it's would it be worth putting the Pyromancers out to blow up your own Gaston Grey so you can get it back. I don't know how many copies he runs. I've seen a lot of Greyjoy decks now only running 2. They're not running a full set of 3. So whether that is literally both Gaston Greys. George has finished his challenges. George is playing a very defensive game. So you've got Intrigue coming in for 2, which George is going to defend for a lot. So imagine, yep, we're going to see the Hotar trigger here to push Euron out. But that is still fine. Oh, here comes a Venomous Blade to win the challenge. No target for Venomous Blade to kill, unfortunately, for Johan. And Triss Botley and Arisen was taken. That's not the end of the world, because obviously there is a save on the board, and Euron Crowseye has a save. Now, although George is playing a very defensive game here, he is controlling the game really. With that seal of the hand now, you can basically defend any channel. You can defend the military. I'd be tempted to trigger it now just to guarantee winning Dom. I think you win Dom anyway, but you know, just in case something happens. I've got 25 minutes left, and no, it's going straight to Dom. That's the other reason I'd have done it immediately, because although George has one Dom, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so we're on to we've got 2 plots left. George is desperately running out of cards. He's already played, I think, both of his card plots. Yes, he has. I guess George was playing quite defensively there because of retaliation, but I don't know. I kind of feel he could take a bit of a beating on the chin. Lost to Blackwind's crew and lost being aggressive might have been better. So long plan. Don't always see it played this late in the game. We've only got 1 plot left, so. And okay, there is the 3rd copy of Gaston Grey. So as I said, I did ask the question: would it have been worth using the Pyromancers to blow up the Gaston Grey? I guess not, because Euron's out, and you know you'd have to guarantee you got it in hand, and Euron couldn't get into a challenge. So George has selected Johan to go first. Johan puts out Western Fealty. Actually, I think Johan's been a pretty star for Econ, and even now he's finally found his Dornish Fiefdom, sorry, and he's only getting 1 gold back from it. And yeah, he is struggling for options. He's not really seen any of his characters. Obviously, although none of the important ones are dead, he has got a lot of characters in the discard pile who would have been quite useful now. Hotel's doing a lot of work, but it still must be quite frustrating. So George collects 5 gold. He's just going to put him out. Maybe, I guess, put out the Great Hall, or the Rose Road might be better actually at this point. Continue about last resetters, or last card is in case it is a reset. So this could be building up to a Valor turn. But I think you've probably got enough econ, 3 econ cards. 4 technically if you count the Blood Orange Grove. Like we said, George has also kept up on the draw game. Both of them have only got 30 cards left in their deck. In fact, George has probably drawn more cards now I think about it, because George has been pillaging Johan's deck. So here comes the entry, here comes Hota, I'm guessing. To remove him from the challenge. Indeed it is. But that kind of gets it out of the way, and you don't care about your hand. If there is a Tears of Lease, which could be the other option, you've got the saves. The only character you really care about has an intrigue icon, so you obviously can't be tearsed. And going to stand Euron with Seal of the Hand, and I think George could probably see it out this turn. If he goes for Power Behind the Throne, that's 2 renowned, 1 claim, and maybe not quite, but I think he's going to be quite close to being able to see it out this turn and set him up for next turn. I do think we're looking at, without being rude to Johan, I think we are looking at the end of his options. So you've got the military coming in. Now the 2 options is, yeah, whether you either defend it fully or you let it go through and kill the Adepts of the Waves to gain that power, to get one closer to winning. So we have a Venomous Blade coming in to win. No. And they just reduced, gain the gold. Discard Secret Scenes to top of the deck for the pillage. So Venomous Blade did not come in to try and win that challenge. And Black Wind's Crew unfortunately not pillage anything to get any draw. Tell us, your Venomous Blade could kill something, but it's the one card that you don't really want to die. I think Joel plays a second march. Right, yeah, I plays a second march. Right, thank you. That would make sense. I don't think it's... Unfortunately, it's not really going to impact this board state, I don't think. So George is going to come back with his own intrigue of more than what Johan can do. And this one is finally going to go for that... the one I keep thinking he's going to do. He's finally going to flip into Power Behind the Throne. Johan's going to have a lot of money next turn. Now here comes the Vengeance. And I think George is not really going to care. He's lost his Rose Road. Raiding the Icy Bay. Raiding the Bay of Ice even. Potentially he's out in the Water Garden, don't he? And he hasn't flipped Rains again. What am I missing here? Seriously. George, have you watched this game back? What am I missing? Why don't you trigger Rains? Why wouldn't you pick him? I guess he could be... Oh, double march. I guess he could be worried about his Viper's Eyes. Have you got any cards in hand? Or, raiding the Bay of Ice is alright. So First March takes out... it's going to get rid of the Aqua. Interesting. I thought it might try and kill him. First March is going to take out the... one of the Black Wind's crews. And we've had Desert Scout and obviously the Abbot of the Ways. And we've had a Green Blood Trader and Desert Scavenger on the other side. Green Blood Traders are quite good actually as flea bottom targets. Oh, we've had New Asher on the top deck. Now he could play her, and I think you could see out the game if he does. But obviously there is the risk of oh, he's just put a Great Kraken. Interesting. There is the risk that you, if you did that, Valida Harris would just reset the board. But I think you could probably win the game before Valida Harris kicked in, and Asher is draw. Okay, and here comes the Pyromancers. We've got a Dornish Spy in hand. And yeah, George just holding off that Gaston Grey has been pretty crippling. Not crippling, that's unfair, that's probably a bit too far, but that Gaston Grey would just love to come out now and be annoying. Yeah, she would have. Yeah, she would have renown too. It's why I think you do it. I think you go in for the intrigue with both of them. You know that there's no more Hotars in here. It's going to be very hard to take two icons off both of them, and you just get 2 power that way. But currently, I think it's a moot point because the lack of a power icon on the other side of the board is probably going to loses Johan the game here. Because even if the Dornish Spy comes in and takes one of those power icons, there's still another 2. You get the 1 for unopposed, 1 for claim, and 1 for the Great Kraken unopposed. And that is then game. So I think it's a mute point either way, but I would definitely put your Asher down. I don't think this thing... Oh, well, I guess you Vengeance really over the claim, don't you? But I still don't think... Yeah, oh, he's doing the intrigue. Interesting. Is this one going to be power? Or maybe he hasn't got power behind the throne. Maybe I'm saying all this, why he's not doing power behind the throne. But because he's got 3 copies of Seal the Hand, he doesn't run power behind the throne. That could be an option, actually. Now I think about it. Well, Johan has to defend this. There are no two ways about this. He has to try and defend it. And he is going to defend it a bit. I guess maybe he's thinking about trying to defend it more, but there's no point. You can't stop the range trigger. Filthy accusation. Nails the other intrigue icon. Raiding the Bay of Ice to get rid of the water. Actually, gets a water gun that doesn't do anything now, does it? No offense, George. He's obviously played very well to get here, but I am ever so slightly confused. Now he does the power. GG. Okay, and Johan's calling the game. It was over. I don't know why George didn't just do the power challenge. I think he would have had it there. There we go, guys. There we go. Well done to George, who wins the 4th Fear Cuts Deeper Than Swords tournament. And yeah, thank you guys for coming along and watching. And do come back. We'll probably have another one of these in a few weeks. And as always, guys,